You know what I find really frustrating? As I drive down the street, and I just did this again recently, I see signs on churches of all places that says divorce care. Come on in, gives the meeting times. Now, wait a minute. I do realize just how painful divorce is. And I'm actually not supporting you. I'm actually going the opposite because I've talked to person after person after person who have said that when they go to those meetings, they are usually two things. One of them is they complain about their spouse. Now, that's not all meetings, and that might not be true about your meeting, but that's not necessarily the place we should do that. The other thing I find is that specifically in Catholic churches, but definitely in both Protestant and Catholic churches, divorce care ministry is pretty much just code for saying, get over him, move on, go, just go find someone else. So you've got this person at a meeting. He or she has given birth to 5, 6, 7. I just talked to someone today, 10 children. Their spouse decides to leave them for whatever reasons, spoken or unspoken or lies. And they're told by their friends and family in the beginning, man, my heart breaks for you. I'm so sorry, man. Sorry you got to go through this. Sorry, my friend. But there's always this finite piece of time, usually 3, 4, 6 months, sadly, even sooner in many cases, where your friends and family are saying, move on, just go on. He's already found someone else. You deserve to be happy. Do you know that the last thing a person whose spouse has just left them wants to hear is, you deserve to be happy. Go find someone else. We've built a life with this person. We have a history. We have made love to this person. We have children. We made humans together. I will always be attached to this person. And if you take that a step further into the spiritual reality that it truly is, I am one flesh with this person. And just like any injury, you take one half of a wound. If I cut my finger and you take the two sides and pull them apart, that's excruciating. Because we are one flesh metaphysically. Our souls are literally knit together by God on that day we make our vows. So when my spouse goes off and becomes a prodigal and does what he or she wants to do with whomever he or she wants to do it, the destruction is physically palpable. I feel the pain when I sin, even if I do it separately from where my husband is, if I'm in another state or location, my husband feels it. Now, you're going to tell me, oh, you don't know if he feels it, but there's something. When you know someone intimately, when you have been so close to someone, you feel subtle differences. And I would argue that God allows the other half of the one flesh spouse to just feel almost innately something hurtful, something's wrong. But this isn't the conversation for that. This isn't the time. I'll do that another time. My biggest reason for today's video is to say, stop with the divorce care. What you really want to do is exchange your divorce care for a standards ministry. When that person walks into that divorce care meeting, what he or she is looking for is peace. They're looking for someone to take away their hurt. They're looking for someone to give them guidance, someone to make it all better. And to make it all better is really what we're looking for is one person to say, you can do this. You're not stupid. You're not a moron. And you're certainly not delusional for wanting your spouse back, and B, for thinking your spouse can and will come back. I myself have seen many reconciliations of people who once said they will never come back. And all they need is one person, one soul to say to them, I'll stand with you. You're not crazy. Let's stand for your marriage together. So what does a standards ministry entail? It would mean getting together the group of people and hopefully a preacher or priest, but if not, because they are very in demand, I get it. But someone who understands God's laws, who understands that the indissolubility of marriage, someone who can come to that meeting, someone like me, who has a standards group that says, regardless of what he or she is doing, you're married until death. But I'm going to stand with you, and I'm going to guide you, and I will instruct you, and I will tell you what can you expect while your spouse is living in the far country. And how can you respond? What are the things you should and shouldn't do? For instance, never respond to hatred and anger with hatred and anger. Your prodigal spouse can sink teeth into that. But when you respond to hatred and anger with love and kindness, they're like befuddled. Like, blah, blah, blah. What do I do with that? It's one of the things I've taught my standers. There are actual rules of standing, and these rules have changed lives and have brought prodigals home. My own group started out with 4 people in my living room in 2016. Eventually grew to about 20 or 25 people in my living room and conference calls. It was attractive. People wanted to know that there are other people like them, and there was a community. And after COVID, it went to Zoom, and it is now 250 plus people in over 40 states and 10 countries. And we all share in common this desire for reconciliation. Of course, in my case, I am not standing for my own marital reconciliation because my husband and I are about to celebrate our 40th anniversary this year after I was a prodigal for 4 years. I am a parent stander, standing for the reconciliation of the marriage of a child. But the pain and the rules are pretty much similar. I say the pain is similar. The rules are the same. And in my own group, of that small group of people, we've thus far had over 15 reconciliations. People who said, I will never get back with you. And they got back with them. It is so beautiful when we see that. It's so encouraging, and it gives hope to the other people in the group. So don't tell people to accept their divorce. Don't tell them, this is all you got. This is what it is. Here's how to handle it. But tell them that standing is an option, that there is power in prayer. There are strategies, praying, fasting, almsgiving. In a standards ministry, you tell them, here's what to expect from your children. Here's how they're going to usually act at first, and here's how they'll usually act later. Here's what it's going to be like if and when you reconcile. Here's how it's going to be awkward at first. Here's what to do when extended family realizes you're talking again and you're dating again. Here's how to handle marriage once you're reconciled. There's so many things to know, and it is all so beautiful, though, because it is born out of a love for the Lord. It is born out of a love for those humans that you created, the desire to say, I don't want to make my children be any more divided than they have to be. I'm going to show them that at least one of us can stand for marriage, and that this is marriage. But too many of us think it's this sugary sweet, always good, and you must keep leaving and find someone else until you get to that one where there's just no fighting and it's just easy. Yes, some marriages, very, 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 very few marriages are easy. Some are out there. But for those of us can say, this is marriage. When you say till death do us part, when you say for good times and bad, better or worse, sickness and health, and you can look at your children and say, this is the worst, sweetie, that this is what you do. If you're interested in starting a divorce care at your church, give me a call. You can find me at Christine@breakfastwithbacon.com. I would be honored to help you establish a standards ministry in your church, in your city. I can instruct you on what to do and how to do it, how to hold meetings. And if you're not into it and you just want to be a part of my standards group, let me know that. If you know someone who is divorcing and you don't feel equipped, send them to me. Don't tell them to move on. Tell them, I know this group, and they have a lot of people in it like you that want to stand until their spouse comes home. No matter what happens on this side of heaven, you will be rewarded for helping your friends, family, or loved ones stand. Standing on the word that God said, standing on the truth that God said, you're married till death, no matter what some judge down here says. Because you know what? A judge down here and a court down here does not have jurisdiction in God's courts. So you're married until death, even if you don't like that idea. But let me help you. Let me walk with you through this. Thank you so much for fighting for marriage. I'm glad to stand alongside of you. God bless you and be filled with God's joy and grace.